I could really do with some wet weather tires for better grip in such conditions. I would like to know what the weather is going to be to get prepared better. Ooh. Wait, he can only predict one section of the track? Damn it, my tires get worn quickly. You get my point? This game is such an irritating cluster mash, it often leaves you wondering if it's simply an out-of-touch execution or exactly what Kyloton truly wanted it to be. On one hand, WRC 8 tries to be a serious rally game, which it does well enough while you're behind the wheel and sticking on the road. As you stop racing or happen to leave the track because of a mistake you've made, it jumps the shark, again and again and again. It becomes something entirely different. It's tonally confused and the more serious aspects don't match the badly executed ones. It becomes something kind of... This segment is essentially a part 2, making this retroactively become part 1. Most of what I said is still true, apart from one thing. I'm retracting my statement that the visual damage is quite okay. It's not. It's very poor. Mechanical damage is quite brutal and I enjoy fighting with a damaged car and the additional sounds it starts making, but the visual damage is shit. So what makes WRC 8 so magical? Let's nitpick the hell out of it because it's driving me crazy. The skill tree. After finishing an event, you usually earn 2 to 3 skill points, or as WRC 8 disguises them, R&D points. You can unlock performance upgrades for your engine, turbo, brakes, suspension, etc., but also unlock new types of tires. You can essentially finish the whole season without having dedicated wet condition tires. Are wet condition tires such a rarity in real WRC rally that it's a matter of chance if a team actually happens to use them? Also, you can magically improve their grip by unlocking skills, and if you're in the mood, you can combine that with perks that boost their longevity and/or grip even further. Some of the crew members are also available only when you unlock a particular R&D point in the skill tree. It doesn't matter if you have over $100,000 in your bank account. Apparently, money doesn't buy everything. You can unlock the meteorologist, the financial director, and the physical therapist through the skill R&D points, and you still have to pay them a salary afterwards. Apparently, if you're a meteorologist, you're an absolute retard because you can only predict 1/3 of the stage's weather. To do your work properly, you need your employer to use magical skill R&D points for you to be able to predict the whole race, on top of the $1,500 salary you already make. And if you're completely useless, then your employer can use up his crucial perk slots to give you a 100% chance of guessing the weather forecast correctly. That is why I did half of a season completely without any meteorologists, because that's just stupid. Your email usually gets bombarded by a single manufacturer that's kissing your ass and boosting your ego by spamming you with, "Oh, we enjoy your driving performance, we might make you an offer to drive for us." Over time, the calendar offers you to do manufacturer challenge events. By doing well in those, a particular manufacturer will offer you a contract. Although, for some reason, you have to pay for this privilege. It doesn't matter if it's a manufacturer or the manufacturer that was kissing your ass. Breaking your current contract and switching to work for them, that are supposedly so impressed with you, comes out of your pocket. You cheap fuckers, you pay for it if you want me to bring victories for your team, you bastards. When a new season starts and you sign a new contract, your bank balance gets magically reset to a set base number and has nothing to do with what you had in your account before. I've finished the season with $130,000 and with negative $30,000. Unfortunately, money is an illusion in this game. It doesn't really matter. It's 2020 and rally games still have issues giving you enough headroom to make mistakes and try to get back on your own. Not only WRC 8 gives you a countdown timer, more often it will not even get to that but will magically put you back on track. That also gives you a time penalty. The game doesn't give two shits about if you could have actually gotten out yourself quicker. It puts you back and hands you a time penalty, because penalties also have unexplainable icons next to them. At some point I received a penalty for merely sliding out of the track, without the game putting me back automatically. I slid out, got back, and noticed that I got a penalty with a whistle icon next to it. Okay, what the fuck is that? It's...
Fuck off!
The manufacturer objectives are often impossible to achieve. They will require you to not use hard compound tires, for example, which might seem like not a big deal initially. Everything falls apart when you have a track that's 18 kilometers long and second that's also close or over 10 kilometers in length. The soft compound tire that would be the only alternative would get completely busted, fucking up your grip beyond belief, therefore making you drive much more conservatively and you losing a lot of time because of it. By not achieving the objective, it negatively affects your relationship with the manufacturer. The same manufacturer that gave you this objective. You can also change the objective, but that comes out of your pocket and also negatively affects your relationship with the manufacturer. Furthermore, the objectives can stack, having the possibility that you're left with two identical shitty objectives. It's rally magic! Intense and demanding rallying, incompetent execution everywhere else, neglect and absurd design choices, and my most preferred camera view is ruined by shitty programming. Most of the camera views have an okay color balance, but for some reason when you enter the cockpit view, everything gets overexposed and you cannot distinguish the road from anything else anymore. This essentially fucks up all your gravel and snow stages with sunny conditions. There also aren't any sliders in the display menu to adjust the brightness or contrast, and none of the visual effects can reduce this phenomena. It's truly a kind of...
Fuck yourself.
For some reason you cannot learn the skill tree in its entirety. You can get up to 50 skill points to use and there are something around 60 plus available options to use them on. I suppose the game tries to be more challenging and not make you overpowered or whatever, but the ones I haven't picked are shit anyway, so who cares. Upon every single startup the game forgets my handbrake, which requires me to bind it again and set the dead zone, because the lowest value already triggers it in WRC 8, but nowhere else. I decided to change the plate on my shifter, transforming it from an H shifter into a sequential one. This game has the mechanic where you cannot downshift from first gear into reverse when your speed exceeds 20 or 30 km an hour. And when you have lost control but still have some momentum left, where rapidly shifting into reverse would let you regain control, you are left with your dick in your hands because you're unable to put into reverse and all the momentum is lost. Back to H shifter, god damn it. Morale is still a bunch of mysterious nonsense to me. Let's do some not yet mentioned positives, so that the last criticism can be used as a segue. The longer stages are long. They are demanding, very technical, and long. They can take up to 20 minutes to finish. If you combine that with two different road surfaces and dynamic weather, sunny, light rain and heavy rain, all in a single stage, and the fact that your tires get worn, you can end up with up to 12 different grip variations, which gives you a highly variable driving feel, which is amazing. The dynamic weather deserves a mention of its own. As much as it seems like a corny marketing bullet point that a game in 2020 has dynamic weather, Dirt doesn't offer such an option, giving a huge edge to WRC 8 in terms of demanding adaptable driving during stages. Even more than the worn tires, broken suspension will ruin your car's handling. I made a mistake once and decided to replace the brakes rather than the suspension, when both were at around 60%. After a couple of jumps, the suspension icon became yellow and I was fucked after that. Keeping suspension working reasonably well is crucial, and combined with worn tires will highly diminish your chances of performing well. You will be spending more concentration on fighting the car than the actual stage. I really like the mechanical damage, how sensitive and performance affecting it is. The same cannot be said about the visual damage. The visual damage is actually close to non-existent, which leads us to... It leads us to Car Waxing Simulator, or Dirt Rally 1.0 minus 0.5 times DLC. No magic happening here. I decided to take a look at Dirt Rally 2.0 after seeing some gameplay video in third person and noticing how hyper-realistically shiny the cars are. I knew that would definitely be a talking point. So my Dirt Rally 2.0 experience is very recent and hasn't matured. But my nitpicky nature might still cover things nobody else has mentioned, because I cannot imagine all of this being talked about. But overall, this is going to be a rush-through. Segueing into the damage model. Visually much better than WRC 8. Dirt Rally 2.0 has one of the better Codemasters visual damage models. Mechanically though, I prefer WRC 8. For some reason it has over 100 gigabytes of downloadable game assets for a rally game. The game is pleasantly minimalistic in a sense that there is only one pre-menu cutscene, which can also be skipped. Great.
Welcome to Dirt Rally 2.0. This is the My Team menu. Here you can access events, garage and staff. This is the main space in the game.
Hey Grid 2019, you see that? Oh gosh, we're beginning with generic and unskippable cutscenes. Straight into actual business with a guy explaining exactly what's important without any fluff. Audio. Hey Grid 2019, you see that? Have you seriously combined engine sounds, tire sounds and effect sounds into one slider? It feels weird commending something like this, but Codemasters have zero consistency in what they do. There is a test driving area, although it's completely bare-bones, shallow and boring and has nothing compared to WRC's 8 test area. Career beginning is extremely limiting, especially if you have put in time in the original Dirt Rally. Being stuck with the Lancia or do rallycross just to make enough money for a decent rally car is too much of a chore if you're not into any of those things. It gives me Need for Speed Underground 2 and the original Most Wanted flashbacks, where those games were loosely connected to the previous entry. They justified you getting money for your first car by mentioning that you're coming from the previous game's world, therefore somewhat connecting them.
Samantha just wired over your insurance payout.
Doing the same Lancia chores only under a different skin is a bit of a miserable experience. It takes ages before you can get behind the wheel of a proper four-wheel drive car. Before buying a new car, you have the ability to do a test drive, which in theory seems like a worthy addition, although all of the cars are available in quick races, so essentially this mechanic is entirely useless.
4 left, 30, 5 left, 60 over bumps, 4 right, extra long, tightens 3, 30.
Co-driver sounds are extremely sterile. The audio sounds like a mixture of a broadcaster talking on top of a footage and an English tutor teaching you clear pronunciation. He doesn't feel like he's sitting beside you at all. Even on 70% volume, it's way louder than the car, and the overall volume of the co-driver is badly mixed. It's not leveled correctly.
Long crest into don't cut, unseen 2 right, into 3 left long, tightens, into 3 right long, don't cut.
And with it being so crispy clear, it's more of a distraction than assistance. Driving in general feels vaguely familiar. You get a sense of the original Dirt Rally, but it has been changed enough to require mastering it all over again. I wouldn't say I think it's an improvement or anything, feels like it takes noticeably longer to brake before a turn, cars tend to start swaying around easier, losing the balance easier. This definitely doesn't feel like a 2.0, which is a weird title and is too easy to mock. It's definitely a 1 point something. I intentionally went for the base version to see how cut down it is. It is very cut down. Even though the car selection is alright, there's no Germany, no Greece, no Finland. No fucking Finland! One of the most legendary rally locations. And here I was, praising the skippable pre-menu intro. There are intros before every race that are not skippable. They get old real fast. Even when you get put in the driver's seat, there is a delay before you get handed the control.
Starts 30, 4 left, opens 50, keep right of a jump, maybe, into 6 left, good luck.
Your co-driver starts explaining the first couple of turns. I'm not listening. It's not possible to sink in the information because I'm not even looking at the road yet. So that's stupid. As you approach the finish, your driver often starts celebrating even when still driving. Even when you finish as 12th or 16th or something. Your co-driver is a retard.
That stage was tough, but it felt fast.
And we finished close to the end. Reminds me of Fireworks Simulator 2019, when you had fireworks for finishing 15th or for just doing practice runs. When doing rallycross, after the finish, your uncanny ugly drive avatar celebrates for over 5 seconds, which is again not skippable, because we are Codemasters and you will watch our cutscenes, you muppet. Why is the game constantly communicating with the servers? Why are you sending my shitty race data? I never asked for this, what are you doing? Somebody decided to implement this hyper-realistic ultra-shiny reflective car surface. It looks like a GTA mod. It's shiny as fuck, even when the car is covered with mud all around. It turns out that a single switch from medium to high in the shaders is responsible for this effect, which makes no sense to me. Maybe car reflections, ambient occlusion or something, but no, a slight change in shaders makes the car look either matte or ultra shiny. I bet this was done as a trick to make people think that this game looks next gen. It looks like a hooker with tons of makeup on. Initially, I thought all of this content is locked behind mini payments. Even though you can go that route, that's not necessarily the case. Since I'm a year late at talking about Dirt Rally 2.0, it seems like initially there was an Ultimate Edition that cost extra, giving you access to seasons that would get released over time. A season pass, so to speak. A promise. A bullshit. Still doesn't change my mind that Codemasters locked basic countries that they had been including for fucking years into their games behind a paywall. Seems like even the explanation of this has been confusing, because some people at the time were speculating and hoping and assuming on what would get released under what. And I'm not surprised at all. People were also confused about the Grid 2019 Season Ultimate Edition pass. Currently you can get the base edition or the Game of the Year edition, which has 4 seasons included. I had no idea what that means. And the fact that the difference in cost for these two versions at the time of recording this is around 20 euros, I didn't believe that all of this €119 content would get crammed in there. Upon googling Dirt Rally 2.0 seasons, it still doesn't give you a clear answer right away. No explanation of how exactly a season works. I found an official post about seasons 3 and 4 being released. Great. It mentioned what content would get released and approximately when, but no clear reminder on how somebody would be able to get their hands on it. That's just shitty communication and misleading practices in my honest opinion. Overall, I came to the conclusion that the Game of the Year edition likely has all of the DLC content in it. So why are these €119 worth items still on offer? That's where the confusion comes from. The price difference is around 6 times. Now, I'm not here to say that all DLC is bad and everyone's an asshole. For example, I can see the Colin McRae Flatout pack being a worthy post-launch addition that wouldn't be a priority for the main game. But fucking Finland and Greece being locked out? Fuck off. That's sleazy and greedy. If you're an owner of just the base Dirt Rally 2.0 experience, the online section is a massive advertisement for the DLCs. Up to 50% of the events are not available if you don't have the necessary DLC content. That's just sad. Back to the actual game. Compared to WRC 8, Dirt Rally 2.0 has only one type of weather in a single stage. And even worse, you don't have enough flexibility in quick races to pick any kind of weather for any kind of track. One track will have no option to go for heavy rain, the other will. Third will only allow it to rain during the night. I suppose these are the scenarios you would face in the career, and these stages are not programmed to support every kind of weather. Oh, Codemasters, you lazy bastards. Your co-driver can get a few upgrades of his own. He can learn new abilities, which is an alright addition. He can learn how to replace a wheel quicker, how to get your car to the finish if you get terminal damage, and how to reduce penalty. What? By going to learn some psychology or business studies, your co-driver can magically reduce the penalty times you receive. Magic! So the driving is fine. It's more of Dirt Rally, only with an altered driving feel. It's the mechanics surrounding it that bother me. For some reason, Codemasters think that improving the experience surrounding the driving isn't necessary. To be fair, on several occasions it felt like Dirt 2.0 is giving a bit more freedom on letting you slide out than the original. At other instances, they put you back on track rather quickly and give you an irritating time penalty, just like WRC 8. Though Dirt Rally 2.0 gives you an even bigger time penalty. They also haven't dropped the absolutely retarded unrecoverable vehicle mechanic. Now, this would make sense if you fall off a cliff, which in reality would probably kill you. But I happened to capture these couple of scenarios in the same track where in an instance where it's physically not possible to get out anymore, the game lets you wander on top of some rocks. But in another instance where you could turn around and get back given the chance, you get awarded with unrecoverable vehicle notice and fuck you. This mechanic is absolutely broken and irritating. Let the player decide if they can and want to get back on the track. It's not your decision. But no, you know better. You know better because fuck the player. Because fuck the immersion. This is where I realized that no future rally game should deserve our attention if they don't address these issues. I was approaching a sharp turn. I either didn't hear the pace notes or simply slammed on the brakes too late, but I ended up locking my wheels and sliding out of the track. Just a few meters less and I would have stopped right before a cameraman. But I wasn't so lucky, and right before I hit the NPC, the game reset me on track and gave me a penalty of 29 fucking seconds, essentially making me restart because 29 seconds is no small penalty. How about you lazy fucks start implementing mechanics where NPCs react on you approaching them? If only that cameraman had moved the fuck out of the way just a few meters, none of that would have happened. This is rally. Shit happens. People stand close to the action with no hard barriers separating them and the cars. You think in reality people just stand around like rocks? Of course not. It's part of the experience. This isn't an impossible mechanic. Several years ago I used Driver San Francisco, a game from early 2010s, as an example. Now I'm adding Forza Horizon 4 to the mix. This is very doable. There are no major improvements in 2020 that can be done to the driving physics, to the graphics, to the sound. You can't surprise people with these things anymore. Making cars overly shiny doesn't count. That's plain stupid. Rally games have gone stale, haven't they? Oh, sure they have. Not working on the little things which would improve the experience and immersion overall is absolutely neglectful. In my opinion, it doesn't deserve praise anymore. It's mediocre at best. For some reason, plenty of people have this notion that when something new comes out, the old somehow doesn't deserve attention anymore. Games don't start performing worse over time if they were performing strongly enough in the first place. I saw somebody in the forums talking about, should I wait for WRC 8 on Steam? At the same time WRC 9 releases on Epic Game Store, so why would I get the older one? Does the new instantly means good? Well, if WRC 9 improves the bad aspects, great, but seeing that they already have a roadmap for at least 3 new games in the 3 coming years, I'm not so sure. At this point I'm pretty much fed up with these limitations in rally games. How many more times can they rehash the driving model and the career without working on the experience surrounding it? And then they have the nerve to ask full price plus DLCs. Rally games have gotten very stale overall. They constantly shuffle around things that they mastered years ago, but don't look at the problems that have been plaguing them for a long time. Best they have done is split the same content and charge more money for it. How about actually trying for a change? And I'll finish this off with a quote from the previous one. Where are our proper, realistic, immersive experiences? The elitist gamers of today just bark at each other trying to prove who can overshout the other person by justifying that his game is better than the other. Who the fuck cares? Newsflash, people, they all lack design elements long forgotten, buried in history. They would be looked at as groundbreaking and envelope pushing by a modern gamer.